All right, everybody. Game number 2. Well, best of 5 number 2. The second semifinal between the Bees. Two Bees determined going up against BeGenius. And, well, this is, of course, going to determine which one of these two teams is going to make it to the league for in 2017. HGC 2017. We're starting off on Sky Temple. It is a best of 5. I'm Khaldor. With me is Tetcher. And we're going to find out together which of these two teams will participate in the league next year and won't have to try again in the second qualifier for Europe.
In straight away, starting off with some tank hatred, etc. getting banned out straight away, that huge global potential. The 2Bs determined do not want to deal with that, and BeGenius, they were thinking about the Zarya. They're swapping between Zarya and Abathur. It depends whether they want the global or the protection to be taken out of the game.
Drafting against TBD must be one of the most annoying things in Heroes of the Storm.
I'm pretty sure if to draft against TBD, what you need to do is you need to just get all of the hero pictures and just throw dice onto them. And whatever a dice lands on is what they're going to pick, and then you should ban it.
I really feel there's a couple of teams that we have in the scene that are quite unpredictable when it comes to the draft, and in the end you just have to rely on your own strength and make sure that you get a good draft for yourself and just have the confidence that you are willing, that you are able to deal with everything that the opponent throws at you.
I mean, if we go through like a list of the things that they have brought out sneakily, Nova is on it for starters. Medivh's on it quite consistently. There's just not enough heroes to target ban.
Yeah. Well, and talking about like target bans, we could see a few then in the second round as well. On Sky Temple, we have a lot of globals that are oftentimes making an appearance here. But BeGenius are playing that for now fairly standard. They were actually thinking a lot about banning out Zarya, or since AD already played her a lot in the previous games, in the previous series even, and also about like banning Abathur, but decided in favor of Tacita ban Falstad ban instead. So Tychus locked down so far, so good. Muradin maybe even as one of the frontliners. Yes, they go for him. Of course,
being hovered over. They could have also run with Dahaka here, which we've seen a lot of teams go with, get that global in and still also grab a tank.
I mean, we've also seen quite a few plays with melee assassins on this map that would allow you to go into the Tyrael and try to just snowball it a little bit against your opponent's composition. But BeGenius for now playing a little bit more traditional here, the French team picking up the Muradin. And TBD, let's see if we are going to see some shenanigans here. Let's see if there's some Dehaka play for something along those lines. Vala and Liming are also still out there that could combo with Malfurion, of course.
Yeah. Anyone who basically has spammable ranged abilities is pretty effective with that Malfurion. Question of which ones they would prefer. Right now, running down their bonus time pool pretty quickly, actually, trying to make their decision. Tychus can counter a lot of them if he wants to take that Neosteel plating, but that's still quite a late pick here. Is this going to be another Tracer?
Like Tracer, Illidan's, like if you go into a Tacita here, then you already know that they're having something planned. So I would not mind at all. The Tacita being hovered over. We've seen TBD with so many aggressive comps in the past. I mean, they're one of the teams that played a little ton of Carrigan with double support, but it is that Tracer, Tacita combo, and BeGenius is, yeah, they are well aware of what that means right now. This is one of the trademark builds for TBD, and one of the many. And BeGenius now, they are going to have a pretty tough match ahead of them. They ban out Zarya. They've seen earlier what all that support can do in the games that, of course, the Misfits played.
Yeah, that could be pretty rough. You want to remove that. Tracer is the target, but if you can remove her sustain, she does actually still take, like we said, a little bit to get through, get all of her damage off her melee, and her grenades do offer the pulse bomb do offer a lot of burst, but if you could dodge them out or at least just deny her sustain, you can really burst her down pretty efficiently.
Zeratul currently being thought over to ban out first for TBD. Don't really want to risk anything here. I mean, BeGenius, of course, played earlier too, so TBD could have probably did their homework during the short break that they had while we had the first semifinal. And there's a Zeratul ban now. So, yeah, the French team, they're not going to have an easy time here. We know that already, but they still have a lot of potential here for very annoying drafts now too. Tychus is a good damage dealer already as is. We still have the potential for them to go into a Vala. They can add a Brightwing if they want to have a bit of global presence, which would work against Tracer as well. So Brightwing probably going to be the healer here for them.
Yep, I'd say so. Giving that polymorph is a very solid counter and still gets some good sustain. And the global, if you teleport onto someone like Thrall, is going to give some good sustain for him. Zool being hovered over here, going to make them very melee heavy. Tychus would be their only ranged character beside their support.
Zul definitely puts him into a really melee-heavy setup here, and he's probably going to be trying to rotate during the first temple phase. At this point, Thrall will most likely start at least as a solo laner here. But now we have a bit of wave clear that TBD thinks about with Dehaka, and he himself, of course, has also the global presence that you would need with this. BeGenius is still very likely to pick up the Brightwing as their last pick for the heals, especially with this setup that they're running here right now. But for TBD, it's mostly about the front line at this point, and Dehaka would more or less force them to also pick a second melee character here, which they are very likely to do either way.
Yeah, this is true, because you do want something to be in the front line. Tracer is basically in the back line, so you want something to be, in the enemy back line, so you preferably want something holding their front line back, so that Tracer can actually get the work done. Dehaka is locked in, and then left in for tanks. There's still plenty of options. Stitches, Johanna still being left available. You could even go for the Stitches Malfurion combo and just hope that Dehaka and Tracer can kill them off quick enough, but I think Johanna's probably a little bit more likely, especially seeing as you have Tychus, Thrall, and Zul all with auto-attack damage, which the Johanna can blind.
I'm really curious to see what the last pick here is going to be.
Alright,
okay,
alright.
Blade.
Also good, more burst.
Blade is in need of his hero still, and is looking at an Alarak right now. Not quite what I necessarily expected here, but
No,
hell yeah, why not?
It works.
Yeah, and he has a lot of melee heroes against him, so as long as he gets the combo in well, he can do a lot of pre-work to set that up for the rest of the team. BeGenius, I expected a Brightwing insta-lock here, but they apparently are thinking about alternatives.
Yeah, who would be the alternative here? Rhaegar for the burst healing could work out. It does offer Brightwing, and Rhaegar would offer Cleanse. I think I prefer Brightwing here, but Rhaegar can work. It's just a bit more healing. It's Rhaegar.
They go for the Rhaegar, okay. Could be a bit of a comfort pick here, but still. I really expected the Brightwing to come out for the Polymorph alone already, but the Rhaegar, of course, if Alarak gets a combo off and Rhaegar is not hit by it, can still use the Ancestral to just, like, save the target for now. So yeah, first draft is over, guys. Sky Temple is the map. TBD going up against BeGenius. It's semi-final number 2. Misfits already qualified for the league. Fnatic and also Dignitas are, of course, also qualified since they made it to BlizzCon, which means we have 3 teams already locked in for 2017. We're going to determine a 4th team right now, and let's find out together on Sky Temple which one of the 2 is going to take the lead in this best of 5. Game number 1, everybody. Damascus against 2Bs is not quite the game that we are looking here right now, so my apologies. I'm going to fix that in a second. We are, of course, looking at the match between BeGenius versus the 2Bs. And, well, with that being said, to the left side, it is the French team. They're starting here in blue. We have Tank for the win on Thrall in our first map on Sky Temple. Unstable is playing Rhaegar. We're seeing Danatan on Muradin currently. Arcane on Zul and Kira on Tychus. And to the right side of the map, the determined bees with ADRD on Tacita, Blade on Alarak, Nick on Tracer, Bad Benny on Dehaka, and Curson is playing Malfurion. Playing the Tracer combo here. And I'm, of course, once again with Tetcher to bring you the coverage here at the semi-final for the HGC 2017 Qualifier number 1.
And starting off with some of the picks here, we are seeing the Wolf Run on Rhaegar. Very common at the moment due to the mount speed change on all heroes, basically. You still want Rhaegar to be able to keep up and rotate around these bigger maps with his allies as best as you can. Zul with the backlash so that he can try and get some burst onto anyone they can lock down, including the Dehaka. You really want to try and just lock someone down and kill them off as quick as possible, when Tracer is just going to be whittling you down the longer the fight goes on.
It's actually kind of interesting to see that trap down here. I like how Bad Benny is playing, is really passive. Right now, the Bees know that 2 heroes are missing on the map, and they are very wary about where they are going to appear. So Bad Benny actually just playing super passive towards the right side, up to the point where they finally know what's happening. And that really worked in his favor, because we had the French team setting up that slide trap where they are attempting to make sure that they get an early kill here. We have a quick pause where apparently Kira is having to resolve a couple of lag issues, but we can at least already talk about a few of the talents. So Tetcher, you mentioned, of course, that we have Wolf Run for Rhaegar here, but we also have, again, the perfect storm for Muradin here for the stacking process.
Yeah, he wants to try and raise up that damage outputs by just hitting heroes over and over again so that he can follow up on the burst. We already mentioned the backlash. It's for the exact same reason, so they can just lock down individual heroes and try and kill them off before they can get the kind of sustain that they need from the Malfurion healing over time, and so they have enough energy, hopefully, to burst through that Tastar shield.
Also, the top lane is where we are currently seeing. So, Modesay is a solo laners, the two melee assassins facing each other. Oftentimes that happens at the bot lane here, so they're already breaking with that slightly. The mid lane, we have currently a try setup. Danatan as a tank should actually be able to have this pretty safely, but he won't be able to really get any kind of wave clear in. That's one of the reasons why they also drafted, of course, Zul, who's now going to try and be part of the rotation. Overall, Zul is a great solo laner as well, since he can burst any wave away in seconds, but his real value is only gotten when you allow him to roam between lanes and just like clear two waves. So that's also going to help once that they're heading into the first temple phase. Another thing to really watch out for if they decide to go with 5 heroes for the temples, or if you are going to see Arcane trying to get the experience from 2 lanes and therefore a slight lead in levels for his team.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on, and also just what kind of build he does go into, whether he's going to be focusing more on those skeletons with maybe the extra lockdown from Jailers, or whether he may go into a Q-based build that we are seeing every now and again, which is still quite nice against Malfurion, due to the fact it's healing over time, so you're more likely to deny some of the healing at level 20.
Applied Force on level 1 taken for Alarak, and in the mid lane we're currently looking at still 3 heroes trying to first of all clear the wave and see if they can already apply some damage to the opponent. Danatan on the temple for now, up to the top. Thrall is taking over the shots, but here in the mid lane it's so far the Bees who are dominating temple number 2.
Yeah, Nick continuing to be very annoying. Nice engaged by Bad Betty onto Araken, forcing a lot of damage onto him, but they come out fairly even while the fights continue to happen. Both teams just trading temples at the moment. Nick trying to harass, but takes a little bit of damage from Kira for his trouble.
Yeah, Danatan so far not having a stack on his Storm Bolt. Did miss the last one, and Arcane is actually doing what we've been talking about. He's trying to get that rotation going between the mid and top, and that is something that the Bees of course know. They are trying to shut that down as much as they can, while we are having still Curson on the temple in the middle, getting all of the shots fired in, and a little bit more of additional pressure over here as the Haka is joining the rest. He was clearing the bot lane so far, and a slight lead also in experience now as a thank you for the 2 Bees.
Yeah, and you mentioned people trying to deny the rotations of Zul. The Hackers have actually just been chilling in the jungle every now and again. Every time he loses sight of Zul, he sort of moves over to the enemy easy camp to try and catch him as he rotates and gets some extra damage. Going to be a bit more difficult now, thanks to the level 4s for both teams, and thanks to the temples being stopped, so there's more heroes on the map for the Hacker to be careful of. And Zul, he did take those Jailers, so he's going to be able to drop even more damage onto Bad Benny if Bad Benny's gank attempts do not succeed.
Right now, we definitely see the Bees a little bit more like they are more mobile on the map. They're actually moving around quite a bit, trying to see if they can set a gank up for someone. But also the French team, after they took down the Siege Giants, starting to go for that bot lane again. AD, RD, and Kirstner over there. Root could be placed down, but Kirstner actually just moved to the side. Shielding also now a few of those Siege Giants, trying to get that pressure on. We've been talking in previous games already about the importance to break through the wall and make a play for the fountain if you want to completely dominate the second temple phase. So we might actually see that happening now as 3 heroes are still focused on the bot lane against the French team.
Yeah, they're trying to put the pressure on here. Zeta's being kept alive back there and even dropping some healing onto them. They root Kira, who takes some damage unstable. Already a little bit lower mana, so he needs to be a bit careful with that. But with downside coming down, they're finally able to make a play onto the Siege Giants, but not before their gate and one of the towers is gone.
Yeah, they had to go for a big rotation here, and we have in the meantime also Bad Benny starting to go straight for those night camps, since he of course wants to have them pushing while the second temple is being activated. Curson is helping out with that too, but they are a little bit slow on that, so like there's another 10 seconds in which they have to make that play. AD already helps with a quick shield, but also BeGenius to the left side is doing the exact same thing. They will have to send Unstable back, he's rather low on mana, that won't help him for potential fight at the bot lane. The temple is active, and in this case, Danatan is able to take the first shots for his team.
Yeah, but with Nick turning up, he's going to be able to harass that down, forcing Danatan to be the one to take the Guardian's damage for the moment. He's able to grab a bit of control, but a bit of an engage onto the Bad Betty up in the top lane, using that damage Zul gets from his Bone Press thanks to his level 1 talent, the Backlash, but they were unable to guarantee the kill thanks to the Burrow.
That was a pretty big commitment that they actually had there. They committed quite a lot of heroes, and now they are losing out on the top lane and down here as well on that temple. Since Danatan is the only one who has to face Curson and Nick, the pressure play up at the top lane should be stopped by AD, Bad Benny and Blade. There's 4 heroes against them, but with those AoEs that they have, a nice combos on the side of Blade, they should be able to save a lot here. The temple is eventually going to fall, but as long as they can't pressure in more than that, it should be fine.
Yeah, and however, the more people who are here, if Blade can get in a little bit closer, he's actually currently stacking his endless energy. He did not pick the Chaos Range at level 7, instead taking the reduced cooldown on his Q for every time he hits a hero with the center part of it. Basically, instead of the target you're aiming at, the one is in between him, the person he's aiming at. And that basically allows him to spam it out a bit more and get a little bit more healing and a little bit more sustain in the fights. So hopefully, Tassadar and Malfurion can put their focus onto keeping Tracer alive.
Thanks to the 2 forts taken out and ADRD's team taking a few of the earlier walls, they have now a structural advantage. It's nothing really too crazy, but it's definitely there. They have the early level 10 just by a few seconds, but both of the teams have now the potential to go into these team fights with their rogue abilities. Ah, Earthquake being dropped here now, the wall not catching Thrall. But this is a bit of a trademark play that we've seen from BeGenius so far, that they love to play with these Thrall combos and with the Earthquakes, especially excellent Alexion, who they met in the last round, knows all about that. So this is something to watch out for, to see what Thrall can actually do in these team fights.
Indeed, if he can drop it in a good position, then there will be struggling. Tracer does have Blink, which obviously is not affected, but her movement speed when her Blink cooldowns are gone is going to be severely reduced. There is one hero who's actually going to damage onto Muradin there with the Force Wolf, try and cut off his escape, but Tracer's in the wrong position. Try and focus him down there. Dahaka, on the other hand, getting focused. He's already used his burrow. He's cleansed the body block by the Skeletal Mages here, and Bad Benny is taken down. Danatan just escaping.
Barely getting out of there, just barely jumping out of the fight, but the kill, of course, against Dahaka, that was a big one. We saw that silence come down, but they couldn't really follow it up with another kill. Now we have the first kill in the game in favor of the blue team. BeGenius doing well here, but the temples are about to activate again, so they need to make sure that they take the position. In another second, Dahaka is going to be back, and he has that global presence that he can use to join the fight over the temple right away.
Yeah, Arcane just surviving. He was able to dodge the party gift as well. Now it is Tassadar getting focused, having to drop his dimensional shift. It's not a prescient one, it is a regular one. As such, he's taken a lot of damage. He survives though. Nick being a good distraction there. He nearly dies as well, but he is kept alive via the Tassadar shield. So everyone keeping themselves sustained here. Dahaka stealing shots from bot lane, so it is a 4 versus 5 right now in the mid lane in favor of 2B's Determined.
But with Tracer not dying, it was a massive commitment of cooldowns that didn't get them anything here. And that's the problem right now. So there's still a little bit of potential for plays, especially since Dahaka can in just a few seconds go straight to the middle again and try to help him out here. Thrall not having access to Earthquake is a big issue. Of course, the cooldown is rather short and we'll have it back in 20 seconds. But there's definitely options for the Beast to see if they can pick someone off here. In the end, they have to just simply let it go for now, but they are starting to move to the top where currently... yeah, okay, Rhaegar is moving back already. He realizes that him clearing the wave there is going to be a little bit risky if the rest of the team is suddenly disappearing from the map.
Yeah, with 2B's Determined putting pressure on multiple lanes of the map, but now rotating up to the top lane to try and put pressure on. The healing ward, healing totem dropped over the wall by Unstable to scout that out to make sure that they're not ganked. Very clever play there, Nick. Gonna eat a Storm Bolt for his trouble in terms of harassment here. And BeGenius in a good position to defend. They are going to struggle a little bit just thanks to the incredible siege potential of 2B's Determined here, but they should be able to hold it.
Yeah, overall, still the structural advantage really coming through. Now, keep in mind, if you haven't actually followed the last patch and haven't seen too many games yet, you might be a bit surprised about the choice of Earthquake here, but it's currently becoming the standard talent for Thrall and bringing him back into the meta quite heavily, since now you also get the additional stacks on the Frostwolf Resilience and have that damage output there. So a lot of Earthquake plays happening over the last 2 days. Up here to the top now with both teams reaching level 13 talents. We're having another team fight about to start as Tank goes in. Could drop the Earthquake again and does so. Escapes here as we're seeing still the Counter-Strike happening on the side of Blade. He gets the combo off against both of those heroes, against Tigers as well. But the heal comes through, and a potential kill against Bad Benny, as we again see another kill on the side of Team BC.
Yeah, Bad Benny really struggling here. He's basically getting engaged upon a burrowing. Good silence there by Blade, but he's immediately turned on. Getting focused down, and he's picked off an incredible route by Curson with 0 follow-up because their damage is all dead except for Nick, who cannot, despite being Tracer, fight against 5 players alone.
And talking Tracer, Ricochet was picked up now on 13 by Tracer, so Nick is definitely deviating a little bit, but we are seeing really good plays now on the side of BeGenius. They were behind in structures, which on this map can always cause a problem, but thanks to that fight up at the top where they were able to kill 2 heroes and push through, they're now starting to take an advantage. Not only in experience, but they also have the opportunity to make plays for the bottom temple and then get ahead in structures.
Yeah, I'm very much liking this pick of Ricochet here, because Tracer, she can't really go in like she would normally like to, getting in, getting that AoE melee off with the bullet spray that she would normally would. But in this case, she's really just getting focused down by the incredible amount of melee and lockdown that BeGenius has. So instead, just taking that Ricochet allows her to stay a little bit of extra rage out and get a lot more harassment blade. Dueling with Danatad here, somehow not aggroing the boss with that lightning, just skimmed the outside of it, so it does not get aggroed. But shots being taken right now by 2B's determined.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, BeGenius just says like, hey, you can have the temple, we don't really care about that. We're going to push the top lane instead and steal your camp away from you. Question still is if it's really worth it for them. They had an opportunity to go for the bottom temple, they decided against it, and now they're eating a lot of damage at that bot lane where the wall is already about to fall, and there's still a siege giant camp that is pushing this in. So it opens up potential plays for ADRD and his boys as they're clearing the camp up at the top, have now Dehaka moving top, healing back up, and everybody else is just rotating as 5 on the map now on the side of the French team. But experience is so close still.
Yeah, BeGenius just soaking up them and grabbing the easy camp. They could have, if they were greedy, they might have at least started boss while scouting, which is why we immediately saw 2B's determined rotating down so quickly to make sure that they could scout the boss and make sure it wasn't being stolen.
Hindered motion taken again, by the way, in this game now. Big focus with the talents and telekinesis. And we're also seeing now the extra roots on 16 as they're trying to lock a target down so they can finally blast it away. Both of the teams now on 16 talents. And Thrall going for that trademark Giant Killer with the Tempest Fury to get the triple strike with Giant Killer in. Give him the axe taken for Muradin, by the way, so he is aiming for some more damage. And they are trying to just lock the damage down on Alarak again, but this time Blade is able to escape.
Yeah, another talent here that's quite important to talk about, ADRD. He does have Prescience here, so he is able to escape and get back to Curse and get rooted. Prescience not activated yet, that was a normal dimensional shift a little bit earlier. But Nick, he took Locked and Loaded here, so he's actually outputting a lot more damage. It's the most damage you can get on that level 16. It just requires a little bit more micro. And Tracer here, Nick feeling that he can keep up with it, and this will synergize correctly with the Ricochet that he took on level 13.
With a fort on the map, we still have that structural advantage going strong for the Bees. The 2Bs determined have that extra fort on the map that's going to help with the objective. But right now, when it comes to the kill count, they were still not able to put a single kill on the board. And they, of course, need to work on that. So all the damage that they can accumulate right now is going to be important for them. They're going for Danatani again, especially Nick is, of course, seeing if he can maybe put some extra free damage in before they go for the temples. But this is going to be a really crucial moment in the game with both temples on the map now. Who is going to start that team fight? And we could also, of course, see after a team fight, boss about to be taken.
Nick getting focused down. He's able to dash up, so he doesn't have to use his rewind yet. Continuing to harass from range with that extra damage he got from Locked and Loaded and Ricochet. Trying to poke down anyone he can at the moment. APRD, though, has already been damaged. Drops a dimensional shift very early to get his health back. But that also means the cooldown will be back a little bit earlier. He eats a lot of damage for his trouble.
Combo on Danatan. Now he jumps back. There's a top camp, though, pushing through the top lane. That Night Camp could eventually get a lot of damage done against the top keep here. So TBD needs to be careful. They're trying to go for Thrall, who drops the Earthquake. Nice E on Nick, gets the kill against Thrall. That was a big one. First one for the team. We are seeing immediately an Ancestral and Tychus attack. He dropped his own drill, but this is still enough to keep Kirsten alive here with the heals that he has. And this could be a massive fight against BeGenius. They're losing Zul now to everybody's solo, and Tracer is trying to clean up.
Yeah, Nick is just chasing, and Nick is shredding, getting almost all of the lock and load activations. Going on to downside, he has the extra damage on his grenade, not able to get the kill. He thought about diving deep there, has changed his mind, but his team is now going to guarantee a keep here, and it looks like they may want to move even further.
Going for core would definitely be a risk here. There's 10 seconds until Thrall is back. Not sure if they can really get the damage in so fast, especially since we have Zool coming back too, but they're trying. They're going for it. They're trying to get the kill against the core, maybe overstepping a little bit since Thrall is coming out already. The top lane is pushing in the meantime as well. Margin is trying to see if he can maybe get a kill in there, but the core is dropping in hit points. 5 seconds until we have the next hero back. Earthquake is back to business. Thrall could use it against one target. Not sure about that. They're aiming for, they get the kill against the Haka, but it should not be enough. This is game, and TBD takes game number 1 against BeGenius. Game number 2, everybody. Tomb of the Spider Queen. We have TBD, the bees, in the lead right now, and BeGenius is actually banning out the Tacita. So, as a losing team, you have the choice between map pick or you getting first pick in the next game. So far, every single time we've seen a team lose, they wanted to have the map choice over anything else. This game is a bit of a difference because we were already surprised when Tomb was selected and thought that was slightly weird since BeGenius was supposed to be the map picker, but it's more of a TBD map, and it turns out that BeGenius decided to be first pick, first ban in the set, which is why Tomb of the Spider Queen is now being played. And we're starting things off right away with the Tychus pick once more for BeGenius, banning out the Tacita, apparently a little bit tired of going up against Tracers and any kind of Tacita shenanigans here. But yeah, we have in game number 2, 1-0 in the best of 5 in favor of the 2 Bs as we are heading into the second match of our semi-final number 2 here at the HGC qualifier for Europe number 1.
And 2B's determined immediately going into wave clear. Mafurion with the potential for that Moonburn and the Johanna straight away. So they're going to have a good rotation off the bat. Need to set up themselves some damage, set up themselves a solo laner, and this looks like a solid draft.
Yeah, and if we would have seen different bans here, I would have even thrown in the Cho'Gall again. TBD loves to play that. They did that several times, especially on this map and on Infernal Shrines. But with Tychus already been taken and the bans as they are, I highly doubt that this is going to be the case. Also, particularly because TBD doesn't have that double last pick that they usually use for Cho'Gall. But with TBD, you never know. One of the bans that I more or less expected also to come into play is Medivh, since TBD loves to play Medivh with ADRD, and they actually have this. This is one of the maps where they play a ton of Medivh, so we might see that in the second ban phase. For now, though, still a little bit standard. The wave clear, as Tetcher was pointing out, is being locked down for TBD. And BeGenius with a solid Muradin, since ETC is banned out, opening that up again. And they really like their Zool, don't they? Oh, maybe not.
Maybe not. Going for the support here, not going for either Brightwing or Ariel. The Rhaegar's been very popular in this series, especially. Both teams prioritizing him over some of the other healers that we do see here. Zool, though, like you said, they are big fans of that. It's just whether they want to grab a support before some of them are banned, or whether they want to try and get something to counter the rotation here.
And then they go into a completely different hero to have a bit more poke available to them. I mean, there is a lot of options right now. The hero pool is getting bigger and bigger in Heroes of the Storm, and it really shows in the drafts. So Rhaegar is most likely not being banned here, let's be honest for a moment. So BeGenius should have access to that later on in the draft, unless TBD is really trying to target something here, which is a bit unlikely. If anything, I would expect them to maybe ban out Zool. I think that's the more likely story to happen here.
Yeah, there is actually even a possibility of 2B's determined picking up the Zool, just getting the insane set for rotation here, and finishing up with range damage and a solo laner. But I agree, it's probably more likely for them to ban it out as their rotation is already immensely effective. So maybe just adding in more damage to try and get through that Muradin might be better for them. But they're going to ban out, by the looks of it, a solo laner.
Yeah, trying to make sure that they have the bot lane secured so far. I mean, they played Alarak in the last game. I could see them with the Karrigan here, since Blade loves to play Karrigan too. We've seen him play that a lot on Infernal Shrines, previously also on Tomb. But with Karrigan, Alarak, he has some really good choices that he can make. Banning out the Chen at the bot lane is going to give them a bit of an advantage there, I suppose. I could have even seen a ban on Thrall, because I more or less expect BeGenius to take Thrall here again. They seem to have a bit of an affinity to playing the hero, and on Tomb of the Spider Queen he gets value. So unless TBD themselves are trying to play him, I would expect BeGenius to say, yep, we're going to go for the War Chief again.
I would agree. So, like you said, unless 2B's determined, steal that away for their solo laner, which could easily be possible, seeing as they do know BeGeniuses are playing it. So it could be a very solid steal for them. They'd get their solo laner, which they'd be fine with. They'd lose out on the Alarak, but Thrall equally as effective in most of the games nowadays, if not sometimes a bit more effective if your Earthquakes can be solid.
TBD now with a double pick, and that's going to tell us a lot. So again, we've been throwing Medivh in a little bit early as a potential pick. We can see them picking up the Thrall. They need a bot laner, Thrall, Kerrigan, Alarak. All good picks here for Blade. Real comfort picks for him as well. And they are going to try and win that solo lane. But they can also like drop that. Yeah, they're picking it away. Okay, that makes that Chen pick explains that a lot more. So they're actually like banning out the Chen instead of the Thrall because they were planning on picking Thrall themselves. Zarya for AD Arty again, so we're going to see those shields, which also eliminates more or less Medivh from a potential pick for TBD, which they like to play here. But this is really solid for them once more.
Yep, so solo laners for BeGenius are now very limited. We saw if we were watching the Diamonds, we were watching Diamond Skin earlier, they very much seemed to like the Leoric in this case. I still would personally prioritize the Alarak. Probably in the scenarios, he's one of the few people who can sort of counter-poke Thrall from range with his lightning. Rhaegar, the support they were already hovering over, still good. But they could also get the Zul and maybe leave Li Ming to try and out-poke, or Tychus to just try and out-sustain Thrall in the bottom lane instead.
I would expect them to go for a dedicated bot laner still. I mean, they could
agree.
Switch that around, but I think it's a little bit more likely that we're going to see another ad there. Thrall, then again, should have a decent time down at the bot lane, and the Earthquake right now after the patch is just super strong, especially for potential boss fights.
Yeah, I will say, I'm just glad that it's now possible for the action in the Thrall trailer to take place, where basically in the Thrall trailer he drops Earthquake and everyone around him dies. The heroes who that happens to would have had to be on like 2 hit points for it to currently happen, but in the past it wasn't even possible. And there is the Arthas for BeGenius. That is potential for solo lane if he goes for Q build.
Yeah, so Arthur's now taken. Okay. Not quite what I expected here, but the double front line and a Jaina as the follow-up. That would not be what I expected as the dedicated damage dealer from the backline here. He's very cooldown based, and even a hammer I would say makes more sense for them. Like any kind of more like sustainable damage with like auto attacks or something that has like is not as cooldown heavy as a Vala, as a Jaina. A Jaina of course can like blow a target up, no question about that. But the problem that you still have with it is that once the cooldown is used, if you don't kill with it, because Rhaegar has no Earth Shield or anything that he can drop on top of it, then it's like fine. But Hammer, definitely changing the pace of the game a little bit. Also a great pick for them here, I feel. Tomb of the Spider Queen is our next map. Map number 2, so guys, let's jump in right away. It's a best of 5. Keep that in mind. TBD has the lead, and we are heading into Tomb of the Spider Queen, the second map against BeGenius. Game number 2, everybody, is starting up here. We have the Bees going up against BeGenius, and it is the 1-0 lead in the best of 5 series that we currently have for the team in blue here. Blade on Thrall, we're seeing Curson on Malfurion, we have Nick on Sergeant Hammer, Bad Benny here again at the front line, this time with Johanna, and AD Arty helping out on this map as before with Zarya. To the right side, the French team, tank for the win on Muradin. We have Danatan on Arthas, rocking that double tank front line. Arcane on Tychus, unstable on Rhaegar, and Kieva is playing Li Ming here. The lead in the best of 5 series here at the semifinal for the Bees, for the determined ones. But let's see how the French can push back in this series, because they played a very nice first game, even though in the end they lost.
Indeed, they did. So we're starting off with a little bit of minion block for both teams. Hammer leaving her first talent a little bit. She is now deciding though on the Regeneration Master, which is good because rotations make globes on this map quite easy.
Yeah, Sergeant Hammer, of course, in this game is going to have a massive impact. The auto attack is going to be very strong. It's exactly what they needed. The sustainable damage in addition to the rest of the setup here. Pretty excited to see how Nick is going to play this. For now, though, he's staying so far behind, of course. He has 2 heroes to help him out here with a double support. Arthas has taken the bot lane, of course, against Thrall, as we have the rest of the teams rotating around.
Yeah, rotating around, grabbing globes at least for 2B determined, whereas BeGenius just trying to keep up with the rotation as their wave clear is a little bit inferior right now. They're kind of relying on Li Ming especially to try and land some very good orbs into the biggest clump of minions possible to try and clear those up very quickly.
ADRD, of course, with his... Like, we had some really great games before from 2B's determined on this map, and heavily it was also thanks to ADRD's heroic abilities being used to isolate heroes later on. The rotation at the beginning of the game didn't really work quite as well for him the last time we saw him here, but I'm really excited to see what they can do now, not only with that, but also with the Earthquake being used on Thraldon later on. So I'm pretty excited for level 10s to being dropped there.
Level 10 is going to be very fun and very exciting. Nick just harassing at the moment as best he can. He was already scary on Tracer. They've now put him on basically the opposite of Tracer, less mobility. I'm going to stand still and do my auto attack damage as opposed to going very, very fast past you.
I mean, overall, we're still seeing a massive play here the entire time from the teams. I actually like the way that they are starting to push this. They're using Hammer whenever they can to drop a bit of extra damage in, and you can already tell that they are starting to win the two lanes here. The one where they are struggling a little bit is down at the bot lane. We saw occasional rotations hitting Thrall, and he is in a position where Arthas is giving him a pretty hard time, as you can already tell at the towers here. Both are running out of ammunition.
Yeah, Arthur's been doing a pretty good job sustaining himself through that lane thanks to his own Q. And ADRD has been positioning himself this entire game so far really, really nicely to make it so that the Nick does not take any of this poke damage from Kira here.
Talking poke damage, I mean, in the mid lane by now we have Hammer also with a focused attack that can be used here. They're starting to really poke the opponent down quite nicely. But I like what Rhaegar is doing here. This is something that we don't really see all that often. Going for an early siege camp down at the bottom of the map. But of course it puts them into a position where 3 heroes have to hold mid and top lane, and that makes it even harder for them. But they have huge pressure against Thrall now, who is in an even worse situation than before, and it forces a rotation, which is actually interrupted.
Yeah, and Rhaegar actually positioned himself perfectly while grabbing that camp. He used his healing totem, level 4 talent, to scout out the bush to make sure that if anyone came, he would be fine. He would have been able to pull back, and it healed him, allowing him to take the camp a little bit more sustained. Right now, big root onto Malfurion, followed up by a stud, and Curson is deleted thanks to that Frostborn Hungers from Danatar.
Curson taken down. I like how BeGenius is setting this up. I think that Hammer in particular is having a huge potential to make the time of the French team extremely difficult here, but they are doing very well with this. The small rotation with Rhaegar to the bot lane to get the camp already paid off, even though they risk running into problems here at the top of the map. They also lost, of course, also here at the wall a lot of hit points and the ammunition, but overall they have their own style approaching this map right now, and it's kind of working out for them.
Yeah, BeGenius putting a lot of pressure onto the bot lane, whereas 2B Determined are using the Hammer very efficiently up in the mid and top lane. So right now, it is still not one team taking a huge lead over the other. It's a slight advantage, like we mentioned, for BeGenius, thanks to this bottom lane. But 2B Determined very much not out of this yet. However, they do have to defend this Web Weaver wave as best they can, or that we're going to start to see a significant lead happen for BeGenius.
Maybe BeGenius now starting to make their play with objective, and that is where they can also drop the first forts here. So you're totally right. This is going to be a really difficult defense, especially considering that we don't have level 7 talents for them yet. So they have to do it with the opponent having a massive lead here, which is actually reflected in the mid lane, pushing in very hard with 4 heroes, focusing it down. So a lot of value being gained here, even with Hammer being part of the defense. Going into the Hyper Coolant Engine's own level 7. But keep in mind, earlier on against the Team Diamond skin, we saw also TBD fall behind on this map a bit. And once that they started to head into the late game, they just turned it around against the opponent completely.
Yep, this is what can happen if you're not careful. And Blade, currently, this is what has been happening basically the entire time. Danatar bullying him out of lane, and with that Icebound Fortitude especially, even if he gets ganked, he's going to be pretty okay for the moment. And right now he has the opportunity to rotate to see if he can grab anyone, but we see 2B Determined going very aggressively to try and grab Tychus, but the W from Fat Penny does not land, and as such they're only able to do a bit of harassment and give ADRD some more energy.
There we have also a bit of a siege again to put the pressure in. Overall, a level behind. If they can get that turn in, they can make up for that. But right now, we have level 7 talents versus level 7. The gem count is there. The one thing that really concerns me slightly is that there's not a single gem that has been turned in yet by TBD. They need to make some plays, and they can't lose heroes like ADRD. So if Zarya dies, yeah, with 20 gems, it would be a disaster, but they get the counter kill against Muradin, and they might get a second one as they're moving in to drop Arcane.
Yeah, ADRD dropping a huge amount of damage into the backline. Demounts Danatan here. Root lands onto Rhaegar, who is taken down here. Blade arriving just in time to help out with that. And that's a big move there for 2B's Determined, putting themselves in a great position after the Web Weavers didn't really get a huge amount of value, so they are looking great for their own set of Web Weavers.
The grenades always making it a bit difficult for Sergeant Hammer, even when sieged up, to go for that wall, but still in range now to drop the towers. And the blue Web Weavers, as you said, are being dropped now, and that is massive for them. Not only did they already take down some of these walls, but they're also now able to push together with the hammer set up in the backline. The Earthquake is in play by now, and this is starting to become dangerous for BeGenius.
Yeah, they're in trouble. They've got their own heroics, and they're going to try and counter this siege coming out from Hammer. Arakin takes a huge set of that Mexican wave from the Web Weaver there, forcing Nick back with the help of Kira. But they're able to drop enough damage to take out the Web Weaver before it does too much more than the towers, and Blade dropping some good harass onto Danatan, especially with that Earthquake. But wow,
the cleanse out of Rhaegar as Li Ming gets stunned, but it's still not enough to save her. Nice attempt by Unstable. He has played an incredible tournament so far, especially on the Wolf. But now the top lane is falling here, and with 3 kills against 1 at level disadvantage, it's starting to look a bit grim for the French team. They had a great start into the game, but now after level 10, the setup here for TBD is powerful and strong.
Yeah, that Hammer's starting to get some really solid value, and the amount of lockdown they're getting is helping out too. Hammer demounting herself pretty quick, DCing herself pretty quickly there, not wanting to get called out, seeing as Li Ming is back. And they want to try and chain those turn-ins together. Li Ming denying that with the Disintegrate for the moment, but that's only going to last for so long.
ADRD again with a push here straight through the middle. They still have an entire level lead. They're seeing Thrall. Thrall is being locked down for most of the games by the bot lane, but dropping the Earthquake because he wants to go for Danatan, who gets stunned here once again, attempting to escape with the army of the and is able to get away here. A lot of heroics being dropped to take him down, and they don't succeed. So that's a lot of resources being used to no end. So yeah, well done by Arthur's escaping here. But we still have a bit of push potential happening, and keep in mind there's another Web Weaver wave also headed the red team's way, since right now TBD is controlling the flow of the game.
Yeah, there's been about 3 attempts on Danatan's life on that Arthas at this point, and he has survived all of them with 0 deaths so far. And he is really the saving grace for his team at the moment, because another turn-in comes in from 2B's Determined right now. But this lane, this bot lane, is the one bastion of defense that is left remaining, with still 2 towers available.
Yeah, it won't remain for much longer though if they decide to push through this one. 13 talents are ready for TBD, which means that we have now also a double giant killer. Have fun, Muradin and Arthas. They're not going to enjoy this, I can promise you that much. Blade has still 20 gems, and the push is happening currently in the mid lane. They are starting to make a bit of a play for the wall at the keep. Yeah, Muradin moving in from behind? I don't think so. Just look at Hammer at this point, just hammering down the wave before the Web Weavers even appear.
Yeah, they're all moving round fire, the safe route, except for Muradin, who jumps over, cutting out some time for him. Arthur's finishing clearing top lane. They did defend that bottom keep from the Web Weaver. Now it's all about keeping this keep alive. The front wall already down, the towers already down. So now it's all about how much damage they can prevent the keep from taking. The wave does take down the fountain here. And Muradin has been zoning out quite okay with the Stormbolt, and Hammer has unsieged. He does not want to get caught out here.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, the one thing that really was important with the defense as well is, of course, that pushing into an Odin is always a problem. So Arcane dropping that ult definitely put a bit of a halt to the entire engage that they had there. But they are trying to wrap around for a kill. And that would be dirty. Keep that Earthquake in mind. Here comes Muradin jumping away. Expulsion zone this time not working out. An attempt by Danatan to make a play. Going for Kirsten here with the army. Trying to have his own survivability guaranteed while pushing the support away. Locking him down. Earthquake being used. Giant Killer coming to play now, of course, massively as Nick is trying to drop Arthas. But a superb move on the side of Rhaegar saves him with the Ancestral.
Yeah, the Ancestral was good, but Dantan being worked down again by Nick here, but Unstable going to try and wrap around for it. So far, 0 deaths for either team. and it's gonna stay that way. That Ancestral, like you said, was really clutch, but the Earthquake was kind of the saving grace there. Danatana and Tank for the Win couldn't really push into that backline anymore.
The damage output on the side of Hammer is fantastic now, and 16, of course, is going to make this even better one way or another. Probably going to go for the graduating range, could go for the hovering siege mode, which we see a lot less in competitive play, though. But right now, they are playing just a fantastic game. And the value that Nick gets out of the Giant Killer with his Hammer against the two heavy frontliners is absolutely fantastic. Turn in by Blade, they're aiming for a third turn in, they're going for boss at the same time. And it seems like BeGenius is completely oblivious to it. The only thing they want to do is get a Web Weaver wave, and they will succeed with that. The problem is they're losing out on the boss, and that is going to take a lot of the damage potential of the Web Weaver wave away, since they will have to deal with it.
Yeah, however, it also works vice versa, where the Web Weavers will assist them in defending against that boss. And then, arguably, that is more important for them at this point, because that boss is going to be pushing onto tier 2s, whereas the Web Weavers are only going onto tier 1s right now. So we are just going to see them leave. Oh no, the Web Weaver missed! The Web Weaver walked past the boss here, so that boss is going to be pushing onto tier 2s. It will deny the minion wave, but instead, we're going to see BeGenius is trying to push with this middle Web Weaver.
There we have now also level 16 reach, and it's Executioner instead. Apparently Hammer wants even more damage. Screw the graduating range, we're not going to siege up anytime soon here. It's all about the damage output, and with the Earthquake he can definitely get this. He has already the approach to move in. Again, the Expulsion Zone is missing. It's getting really unfortunate here that ADRD is not able to lock these targets in. He did very well the last time they played on this map, but this time they are struggling with that a bit. They are able to defend quite nicely though thus far, and the boss, as you can see up here at the top, might just barely not be able to get the keep, but it's so low it will fall eventually.
Yeah, the quick rotations coming out there from BeGenius to clear that up, but like you said, the boss able to do so much damage because the Web Weaver just missed it. It spawned just out of aggro range of the boss and just pushed up lane instead of actually defending.
ADRD up at the top now already, again defending as we see a bit of a push coming in. They have lost only one fort so far. A single one, and that's it. 16 talents are still not ready yet for the opponent's team. Turn-in potential is there, by the way, for both of them more or less. 3 are missing for BeGenius, but they can pick those up with them taking out another wave. But it's very likely that we're going to see another blue Web Weaver wave coming into play very soon. Oh, Arthurs might have to use his ult, does do exactly that. They fight without the talent, and now 16 drops Arthas. This time the Ancestral is not in time. Muradin is in trouble, has to drop his own ult as well. Nick pushes him back. They can get the turn in easily right now and will be able to push in whenever they want to, even go for the waves to make sure that the Web Weavers have a favorable position heading into the game.
Yeah, that Executioner Earthquake allowing Hammer to do so much damage to Arthas as he was locked down a little bit there. Just getting so much value. And even if it had been the other way around, with 2 Beasts Determined getting caught out, we see that Zarya has taken the Cleansing Shields here, so she can help her team escape any kind of engage even more now, which is why we're seeing them play so aggressively. They already had incredible siege potential, but now they're even safer doing it.
And we have heavy impact. Maybe with that, we could see something happening on the side of BeGenius. If they are able to move in against Hammer and drop it, that might be the chance that they have here. Arcane is this time going straight again for the Odin. They have to push into this. Web Weavers are there, and we have them committing to it. Blade is getting ready. He wants to drop that Earthquake again, wants to move in deep for it. But once more, Arcane trying to blast those Web Weavers away. There comes the stun, though, that Benny moves in. Blade still looking for an opportunity to go deep into the opponent's team to drop that Earthquake. The keep is going to fall one way or another, especially with Arthur still being up at the top. But they also eat a lot of damage on Kierva. 2-level advantage, 1 keep down, Web Weaver at the bot lane still active, and maybe even another fight happening here.
Arthas, however, was able to defend the keep up in the top lane, so for now, that will remain. And they don't have to worry about catapults until we see 2 Beasts Determined rotate up there, which is happening now. So we need to see a very hard defense out of BeGenius if they want that to survive. ADRD right now dealing some good harassment. Nick wanted to join him, but the Disintegrate is going to force him back a bit.
Danatan, on the other hand, he's in trouble, dropping the army again. Immediately attempt to wave clear that. Oh, there comes the Earthquake. Talents used as well. They go the kill against Rhaegar. He's down already, and it looks like it's not only the only one. This is the death of Arthas, of Muradin, the front line eliminated. and 19 versus 16. It looks very much like it's going to be another play for Core here. They're trying to go for it, eliminating the wave first of all, forcing Kiewa back. He might actually die even if ADRD gets another shot then. Not so much, but it looks like it's definitely going to be another victory in favor of 2B's Determined.
Yeah, they go on to the core. ADRD completely shielded up. He's full on energy, taking out Arakin. Actually, Arakin will barely survive here, but it doesn't matter. The core goes down, and that is GG. Game number 2 goes over to 2B's Determined.
Game number 3, everybody. We switched the draft tool since the other website was lagging apparently a bit, so instead we are now on Stormcraft. We have TBD going up against BeGenius in our third map, and it is Dragon Shire. First pick, first ban on the side of BeGenius again, so they gave up the map choice in favor of having first pick, first ban. In this case, they're banning out the false stat and pick Malfurion, and we have TBD already with the Tacita locking that down, so we could see potential plays again with the Tracer later on with any kind of melee assassin. TBD played this map before, and they were extremely strong on it. So let's see how that's going to work out for BeGenius, because they have to win 3 in a row now.
Yeah, now the question is whether BeGenius want to ban out that Tracer, like you did mention earlier, because 2B's Determined not first picking it, instead getting that to Hacker. We already saw how effective it was in the previous series that we cast on this map. But if they still have potential for that Tracer a little bit later on, if BeGenius don't ban it out, they're going to grab the Tychus very quickly to try and burn through that to Hacker.
I want to see the priority of Thrall. I can see a battle over Thrall at the top lane if BeGenius doesn't pick it now, that it's either going to be banned or going to be grabbed by TBD. And I mean, TBD already made plays earlier with having the Hacker as, so to say, the solo tank as the only one, so they could make that work once more. But especially the top lane is going to be an interesting one. And we've seen TBD play that against Diamond Skin a bit earlier, even though Diamond Skin had a bit of an odd draft with that Leoric just not giving them as much value as they were hoping for. So it was a bit of a different story, but it showed how strong the Bees can be on this map. So for BeGenius, definitely not going to be easy. And they lock down damage. They actually have their damage already confirmed, but that leaves the solo laner open and allows TBD to pick up the Thrall if he's not being banned out, if they want him. If they don't, just simply put the Hacker up to the top lane, which is of course fair as well.
Yeah, the Hacker is pretty effective in that top lane, and also just super effective at rotating if you want to four-man the bot lane. You can go from mid to top with the Hacker without a huge amount of issues. 2B's Determined banning out the Johanna, trying to limit the tank options, and BeGenius removing Zarya, so that if 2B's Determined do want to go for that Tracer comp, they're going to have to do it with as little sustain as possible.
Yeah, if they want to go for it, I mean, you can still go for stuff like... Right now, this is going to be interesting. They ban out... I mean, this has kind of to be a Muradin, or do they just ban Johanna out because they're saying they want to limit the wave clear a bit? But then, okay.
Yeah, that's the solo laner, I guess.
A Chen as a solo lane, they don't let the Hacker up there. But banning out the Johanna... She is one of the tanks that has, of course, nice control and also has the ability to just like use the blind with the shield glare, and she has a bit of wave clear. Muradin is still out though, so
yeah,
how is TBD gonna play that?
He's been left just available. I think they are just leaving that over to BeGenius.
Yeah,
like expecting them to pick it, unless we are going to see the older style of the triple tank coming in from 2B's Determined, which is exceptionally unlikely, especially since they have Tacita.
Exactly, like Tacita solo support and then a triple tank at the front line. That seems to be ambitious, considering that you're up against the Vala and the Tigers. I don't see that happening. So I would be very surprised if we're not at least getting another healer plus a range damage for them.
Let's preface this with quick match logic, as I try to with my outlandish claims. Damage Tacita,
didn't you know?
Triple tank.
I thought you'd know. Quick match has no logic.
But that is the logic of quick match, that there is no logic.
Really?
There is the Brightwing. Double support coming in here, so they could still go for Tracer. They're leaving it very late. Tracer, even Illidan here, but they're giving over the Muradin, who does have a little bit of an effect against both of those heroes.
Muradin Thrall for BeGenius?
I think that's good. I definitely stand by that and agree with that.
It would be the first time in the game with BeGenius that we do not see Thrall either taken away or picked by them. and Muradin as the front line. I mean, what other tank are you really going to go for if you're not going to go for a Muradin here? So Muradin is being taken. I suppose you could make arguments for certain Stitches comps, but still Muradin seems to be the superior choice.
Yeah, especially considering that, like we said, there's potential for Illidan from 2B's determined. So you preferably want to make sure you have the Muradin just in case, and it still can lock down the Tracer if that's what they go for. And of course, he is just one of the most standard tanks. He is the most versatile in almost every comp. Now, BeGenius taking a long time, maybe thinking about alternates to Thrall here.
If they're going to pick Leoric, I'm going to puke.
Well, it would drain Chen, I guess.
Yeah, but what are you going to do with your ult? What are you going to entomb here? Where do you get the value out of this? You have Dehaka that can burrow. You have a Chen that just simply jumps out and says, like, thank you. You have Brightwing, who might go for Blink Heal if that's the case. Tassadar, well, good luck. First of all, getting him. Second of all, he just moves out. Elrag makes way more sense. So not dropping the Thrall in here, this is a first for them, at least in the games that we casted, but going into the Alarak as a top lane, I like that. So that gives them at least a lot of kill potential with Alarak getting a good combo off in some of these fights. So I like that.
Yeah. There is actually a build as well with Alarak where if you are afraid of that potential Tracer style, where you can run the Reckless Strike, which basically reduces the wind-up of your Q, and but makes you vulnerable while you activate it. But it does mean that you're more likely to hit Tracer if you react quick enough. She has way less time to react as opposed to the nearly a second wind-up, and there is that Tracer. So there is potential for that build here.
Tracer doesn't really shock us too much. It was always an option here for them. This is their range damage now. So TBD again with the com favoring a lot of globals with Brightwing, with Alarak. We have Tracer in here. So yeah, let's check out how that's going to work out. They have a 2-0 lead in the best of 5. One more map and they advance to play in 2017's league. Ladies and gentlemen, let's jump in. Next map is Dragon Shire. Game number 3 could theoretically be the last one of the day, my friends. We have a Thrall over the Alarak, so either a bit of a bug in the draft tool, false pick on the side of BeGenius that they could then later on just like change, probably talking to the Bees here. So we have Thrall in the game, played by Tank again. So we're having our Thrall deck. We were already wondering about that in the draft. Alarak would have been a good option, but they decide in favor of the War Chief once more. Green Jesus is with us. Donatan on Muradin, Kiava on Vala, Unstable on Malfurion, and Arcane for the French team on Tychus. To the right side, it's Blade on Chen, Nick on Tracer, Curson on Brightwing. We're seeing Bad Benny on Dehaka, and ADRD is playing Tassadar as we are heading into the third map, which could theoretically be the last map in the series here. So let's see which team is going to be successful on Dragon Shire.
Actually, we're going to be keeping an eye on 2B's determined here with their lovely Tracer comp coming out once again. They have the sustain they need. They have 2 tanks as opposed to the 1 tank we saw a Tracer comp being run with earlier. And we'll just see how well they can do with it. Not going for a TP build, just TP onto Tracer. It is in fact he missed here, and they're going to try and get Muradin here. But Muradin, very tanky. Blade diving deep. Nick! Oh, the Storm gets it!
They get the kill. The setup that we saw there is set up to just like trap whoever travels to the top lane on the side of the French, and then all of a sudden they turn it around by Bad Benny just simply tunneling in. And I can't believe that they just... I mean, that Storm barely scratched the edges, and Muradin is falling after all. Not the opening that the French team was hoping for. Not at all.
That wasn't even the electricity. Oh, hang on, stable. Getting focused out. Will the drag hit? Drag does not hit. But that wasn't even him being hit by the storm. That was his clothes getting statically charged and him touching something metal. That's what killed him there.
Down here we have both of the temples or both of the shrines are already claimed by the red team, so they are doing very well here. We've seen them actually more or less ignore the Dragonite in the game before and just like pressuring the lanes, but I guess they take a free one if they get it.
Yeah, they'll take it if they can get it. They need to control bot lane. They have the double support Tracer down here who's going to start harassing on Dagura, but they get rooted. Rewind is used. Nick runs straight back through, as I do not believe you can get rooted twice in that Dahaka, though. Getting kind of out-sustained by Danatan here. Looks like we may see a lane swap here, or at least an attempted kill onto Muradin.
Yeah, Muradin is a bit pressured in the mid lane for a moment. He went, by the way, again into the Stormbolt build here. So adding the perfect Storm on level 1, 4 stacks so far on him. Thrall is taking over the top, which means that both of those shrines are going to be in the hands of the French team for just a moment.
Khaldor getting out of there with a dimensional shift. Adiardi's very liberal with his dimensional shifts, making sure that he does not get caught out at any point.
So we have to the top lane, 2 heroes right now pressuring Thrall, so they give us the bot lane shrine and only leave Curson there to soak the experience that's being pushed in. And Chen went also for the Ring of Fire, so trying to get a bit more wave clear in there. And we'll have the extra damage, bring these team fights in, of course, with it as well. Tank still claiming the experience here, holding the lanes as much as he can. And the two of them still poking up against each other.
Danatan trying to juke and jive away from the drag so he does not get caught out. And most of the lanes are fairly even. This is definitely more even than a to be determined other outing on this map.
Yeah, the opening for sure. They don't have the pressure set up that they were able to execute against Diamond Skin earlier. Their opponent in the round of 8. Tank again being attacked here with Tracer, waiting for an opportunity to push that in. So Blade is doing fairly well for himself at that top lane, pressuring the entire wall as is. But down here, Dehaka finds himself in trouble, is trying to escape, and Brightwing is going in and out too. They get the lick against Tychus, and down he goes. Great kill here, as Nick is attempting to drop Vala, and barely is not able to get the kill.
He's so, every time he chases someone behind the wall, but this time Adiardi not able to get the range forward of Storm this time. But that was one of the longest range drags I have seen without the range upgrade. Very nicely done there by Bad Benny.
Talking Tracer, we have of course on one the Tracer rounds, pretty standard, the Parting Gift and the Spatial Echo taken as well. We see a play for the Dragon Knight. Nice zoning happening here in the mid lane, and that's Dragon Knight #1 picked up by Brightwing. So they are able to push through those walls, just like waiting for the Fire Breath in poke range. Level 7 talents for both of these teams, with now of course especially Tassadar gaining a lot more value, and the beginning of Death Dealer, so a bit of an all-attack focus for Kirva, which we have seen in the games that BeGenius played before.
Yeah, allows that reset, which gives engage and disengage. It allows extra auto-attack damage, which can assist, seeing as you're not getting as much value out of multi-shot as you used to due to the nerfs. But either way, right now, good defense on the Dragon Knight. It's getting some value, but it is being chased back pretty effectively by the bees.
Yeah.
BeGeniuses. I was like bees. BeGeniuses. No, 2 bees. No.
I was laughing because of the jump of Danatan. The Dragon Knight is like running in. Thrall at the top lane on the other hand, and not really having a laughing time there. Blade even dodging the multi-shot as Kirva is attempting to go for a counter kill. But Thrall taken out by Nick and Blade. So they are losing ground on all lanes. They already lost the wall at the top lane. We've seen them losing the towers here in the middle to the Dragon Knight. At the bot lane, pressure was applied as well, which killed one of them. So now we have 3 kills against 0, a level lead. And with level 10 dropping, they can again start to push in. And they've been doing this nearly the entire time already, pushing their advantages as small as they might be.
Yeah, Nick trying to push another advantage. He found Danatan out of position. He's going to try and focus him down to pick him off. Not able to get him. Yeah, good amount of sustain. Bad Betty tried to catch Arcane. Very nice engage there, but was not able to get it. Arcane with a quick dash, getting himself out of there. But the camp is stolen.
Yeah, they steal the camp, but it immediately gets value, going straight for that fountain. Danatan himself is low. The 10s are there. They are mercilessly going to push that down, and they want the dwarf, and they are going to get him. Muradin is dead. There's a double camp pushing the bot lane right now up to the top. We're seeing Chen pushing still against Thrall, even though now he has a camp to deal with as well. But without level 10, there is nothing that BeGenius can do against this pushdown here.
Yeah, they're trying desperately to defend this with any kind of their ranged abilities to harass, but with the Siege Giants, this fort is forfeit. So they're going to be forced back to Hacker once again. Bad Benny is easily one of the scariest hackers we have, because he's able to just roam everywhere and catch people, and he plays so aggressively with it. He's been doing an incredible job so far.
Talking about aggression, especially Nick just zipping around on the map is also putting the fight into the hearts of the opponent. We have them finally, at least, with the heroics. Nick drops out of the game, which of course causes a quick pause. But we now see Earthquake taken on the side of Thrall, Shocker. We have Avatar taken as well. We're seeing them with Strafe, Twilight Dream, and the Dragon Laser Drill. So at least they have now a fighting position. The big problem is if you just for a moment, not even ignoring the amount of structures that were already eliminated by the 2Bs determined, just look at the amount of experience that the red team is ahead right now.
Yeah, they're already a level and about to be a level and a bit ahead. they're just trying. They're just, in fact, no, they're about to be 2 levels ahead. They are just rushing towards their next talent tier. They won't have it for a little bit because they're only just about to hit level 12. But either way, they are in a very strong position when it comes to the amount of aggression they can show on the map, and they have been using it. Like right now, Adiardi can see him in the middle, just chilling. He's trying to poke down Xanatan, whereas Bad Benny not showing himself. He's far enough back that he's not in vision range, so he can just appear anywhere on the map, and like we said earlier, striking the fear into the hearts of the opponents.
We have 17,000 damage already on the side of Vala and 14,000 on Tracer. But if you look at the walls here for just a moment, just ignoring a couple of these stats for a second, we have the walls not even scratched at the mid and at the top. The only wall that has suffered some damage is the one at the bot lane, where we've seen earlier on 3 versus 3 fights happening and occasionally a 4th moving in too. So we have 4 kills against 0. We have a massive lead in structures right now. The objective is spawning another 7 seconds. And I mean, thankfully for now, BeGenius can fight back with even talent since they have access to the heroic ability, but there is still a huge amount of threat on all the lanes, especially just look at that bot lane. They have to deal with the siege giants here, and you've been talking about the mobility quite a bit that the Haka offers. They just jump all over the place and try to get the kills in there, and it feels like no matter where you fight, you're never safe. Camps are stolen away, and I'm really a bit worried for BeGenius right now, even especially considering this is the last map that they're allowed to lose.
Indeed, and we actually saw, you talked about just darting all over the place and just going deep whenever they felt like it. Tracer, in that last kill of Muradin, actually just went under keep, taking the under fort, taking the fort slow, and Tracer doesn't care. She very reliant on attack speed, but it did not matter for her. She just went straight in and was able to kill Muradin despite taking all those shots.
And also, like when we saw the first kill happening over here, the Tracer rounds themselves are hugely important here, since they were still... The Storm might have killed Muradin off then at the end, but without the Tracer rounds and the ability to attack him over the wall, therefore, that would have not been possible. So that was another big play there, and also one of the reasons, of course, to go for the talent. While we're talking about talents, we haven't really mentioned the build on Brightwing with the unfurling spray that has been used here. We have the unstable anomaly for a bit more damage, of course, also on the polymorph. And overall, they have, also thanks to the Ring of Fire, a pretty heavy amount of wave clear available to them as well. Mid lane. For a second, I really thought they would make another play for Donatani here.
They may still do. He's all around.
Yeah, they do.
There's the tug immediately onto Xanatan. Tracer trying to get that bomb charge up so that she can get that extra 10% damage onto Xanatan right now. Up to 58. Not going to be enough. And as such, Xanatan will escape here. But with both shrines in favor of 2B's determined, it's going to be a lot of pressure on the Bees Geniuses.
And Chen isn't even here. Look, he's still at the top lane. He got another wave. He pushes the thing in. Now we have Muradin in trouble, just barely jumping. This is a 4 versus 5 in the middle. It's a 4 versus 5 over here. Now Chen is there. They rotate heroes down to just take one of the shrines away. But this just shows how dangerous this setup is, especially, of course, with the drag on the side of the Haka.
Yeah, they're actually going to give up the Dragon Knight for the moment, or at least give up the bottom shrine, due to the fact that ADRD was a bit low on mana and needed to be back to base. Instead, they just grab that Bruiser cap so quickly because they know there's no way that BeGenius are going to spread out to try and grab both shrines. They will commit to one and they will try and defend it and then rotate up. So as long as Blade can hold this top shrine on his own, his team will once again be able to grab control of both and attempt again, this time with full mana and full cooldowns, to be able to make a play on this Dragon Knight.
This is a lost situation. Either you give us a Dragon Knight or you just like... I mean, I actually am very surprised that we don't see a play for the Dragon Knight. I think they can get it either way, because there has to be a move to the top lane, since this camp is, if they don't react, taking down the fort. So instead they're taking the camp at the bot lane. It again shows that they don't really prioritize the Dragon Knight, at least this early in the game, as high as other teams. We've seen that against Team Diamond Skin as well.
Yeah, this is true. They sometimes are happy to wait for it. Remember, the longer the Dragon Knight does go on, the stronger it gets. It's not like some other objectives where basically it is what order you capture them in and how strong they are. But the Dragon Knight, the longer you leave it, the more its attack damage does, and as such you can try and burst down buildings all that quicker. Once again, Tracer going with Ricochet. We saw that before.
Yeah, the extra AoE that you have with it. We also see the touch of Honey. Again, in the mid lane, the rotation to the top so that the Tigers can be pressured, and it's also, of course, a play for the second shrine. They have a talent advantage that they can use. And again, bot lane value thanks to the camp. Bye-bye tower. One of them is going to fall for sure. And we see top lane taking Shrine again, and therefore play for the Dragon Knight in the middle. They were attempting to steal the one with the bottom away, but ADRD, Bad Benny, and Nick Person were already anticipating it. They might even get the kill against Muradin. This is not only a 2-level lead for them, it's a Dragon Knight. They break through the wall at the bottom. The Dragon Knight is already moving in there. These guys are just absolutely on a roll at this point.
Yeah, they're going in. They have Siege Giants down here. They're going to try and get some huge value out of this. Chen is even on the way down to join. He's a very long way away, but he will make it here eventually. ADRD going super deep there with that charge, but he's now moving on to the keep. The Dragon Laser Bill has been dropped, though. There's a lot of damage. Nick finally clearing that up to stop the Dragon Knight taking too much damage. The Earthquake is dropped.
Muradin is back, so they're going in. The keep is not down yet. The Dragon Knight is gone. It's still an early one, and they're starting to make a play. They're trying to go for Nick, but they don't get him. Blade is being chased at the same time. The Strafe already in the back line, trying to apply the damage here. We have the Silence coming in too late. Storm, Earth, and Fire already being used. A lot of cooldowns are already gone.
Yeah, this is the 4 versus 5. Second that push was over, Dahaka immediately tunneled out to the top lane to continue pushing and get that fort up there instead. So it was literally just a ultimate pop to escape there, as I don't think 2B's Determined expected BeGenius to push that far after the Dragon Knight was killed.
I actually think if they would have had Dahaka in that situation, they would have tried and turned.
They could have turned, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they could have.
After the Silence miss?
To get it deep.
After the Silence miss, for sure, yeah. Play for the keep. They're actually going to get it. They're going to get the keep. It's there. The Haka was hiding up at the top. Still there. The Olden Tracer misses, but it doesn't really matter too much. They got what they wanted. They have a 2.5 level lead. They have a level 16 talents. So the elongated tongue is there. Dimensional Shift has been picked up now too. So the Dimensional Warp, of course. We're seeing the Locked and Loaded again. Enough to share. This is, I mean, they are stomping this right now. 5-0 in kills.
They are. This is a map that they seem to show a lot of skill on in terms of just what they can do. And they're using it right now. Dahaka tunneling from top lane all the way down to bot lane.
Like, they don't have... seriously, the Globus right now, with Bad Benny in particular, are making it very difficult for BeGenius to do anything here. Every single time you see Dahaka top, bottom, making sure that the lanes push in. Then suddenly Chen is taking over, clearing a lane, pushing that in. Dahaka appears on the other side of the map, and they have no one that can react fast enough. They just take camp after camp. The entire map is painted red.
Yeah, there's been one camp taken in this scenario by BeGenius, and that was that Bruiser camp, which Tychus is now currently just guarding in, while Thrall is a bit busy in the bot lane, clearing up minions and catapults.
Yeah, Vala is also at the same time, just like Kira is going AFK. He's going for a smoke right now. He's just chilling for a moment. He's like, boys, he's waiting for the Dahaka to appear again, I suppose. But right now it's for them really, really tricky. Yeah, sees Bad Benny there for a moment. Tanatan unstable, still a 2-level lead. 16 talents are missing, so they're just playing around the shrines, trying to go for the one that the opponent doesn't take.
Yeah, just trying to keep that rotation up, buying themselves time to get to that level 16. And also, in the bot lane at least, it gives them another opportunity to clear out a couple more catapults and give them more freedom. Muradin, a little bit out of position, very nearly was caught by Chen there. But he's now getting chased. There's the force wall. If Bad Benny had stayed there, they might have been able to get him. But instead, he goes to the mid lane, clears up the minions, and keeps the pressure on through that mid fort. Yeah,
talking pressure. Well, there is Tychus. Again, the ult misses, though. On Tracer, not able to get that locked in against him. Oh wow, dropping the Earthquake even. They really want to try and go for a kill here. Everybody rotates top. Guess what? That leaves them very much alone here in the middle as we see another drag and everybody just jumping in again. Danatan is super low, gets once again isolated and will die eventually. Or will he? He jumps out just barely dodging that death.
Yeah, Danatan tanking through. He continues to push. He gets dragged again. Tracer tries to shred him, but build up that ultimate stack. In comes the Strafe from Valor, doing huge damage onto the Panda Pals, which were popped here. Danatan starting to run low on mana, and Tank for the win. Killed off here. The silence is good. There's only one Panda Pal left. It escapes and is popped back into normal gen, and he will survive this. Currently, it is 1-0. They want to try and turn it, but Tychus goes down too.
Nick with the kills. 1-2. Muradin dead. Triple kill. Bad Benny on the Drake. Malfurion is also gone. And ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we might have our 4th team for the league in 2017. Vala, the only survivor, Blade for the long jump over the wall, the catapults at the bot lane already pushing for the core, and we have the 2Bs determined starting to move in. The kill against Vala, the conclusion as the 2Bs determined take a 3-0 victory against BeGenius and will qualify for the 2017 HGC League. Congratulations, well played, impressive performance here once again on Dragon Shire.